There we go. Hi, everybody. Get rid of the echo. How's everybody doing? Can you hear me all right? Let me know if my video and audio is good, and we'll get started. Hi, everybody. Morning Glory. Tokayo, 13th Monkey. Larry Champion. Wonderful. 5x5. Well, I'm going to get started. I'm just going to get right into it because I've got a guest coming in and he's got limited time. So there he is in the chat, Steve Young. And yeah, so I'm just going to start off by playing a clip from the video I found yesterday, which I thought was fantastic. Really a great summary of Tartary in general and what we find as we look into the history of pretty much everywhere. So we'll start with that, and let me share my screen. Entire screen. There we go. And share the system audio. And yeah, let's just listen to about 5 or 10 minutes of this. It's a really wonderful video from a channel I'd never heard of. I'm really impressed. I can't tell if it's AI and AI narrated or not. It's hard to tell nowadays. But the quality of the language is fantastic, and just what he has to say. So I'll link this in the chat and in the show notes later. But great video to watch, not just to see what's going on with Prague, which I'll be showing a bunch of this evening, but also because the things he says about Prague can be applied to everywhere. And it's just really well put together. So let's get started here.
The deeper I go into the architecture of Prague and buildings like the National Museum, the stranger the transition becomes from the grandeur of these structures to their later functions. Episode 3 is where we ask the uncomfortable questions, the ones that bubble to the surface after enough late-night archive digging, after staring for hours at old photographs, old engravings, and old plans that don't quite match the official story. Because once you accept that these buildings look inherited rather than constructed, once you see that the workmanship, the scale, the stone masses, the harmonic geometry, the precision, and the sheer overwhelming power of these structures feel out of place in their official time period, you naturally arrive at the next puzzle. Why were these buildings downgraded? Why converted into everyday institutions? Why stripped, modified, repurposed, dulled? Why do so many of these structures across the world, not just in Prague, share the same pattern of transformation, from palaces, monumental halls, cosmic-looking observatory domes, and acoustically perfect structures into hospitals, universities, parliaments, museums, barracks, administrative offices, and yes, even asylums? Something doesn't add up. The story is always suspiciously similar. A grand building appears suddenly in the historical record, usually attributed to one architect, often with very few construction photographs. The building seems complete or near complete when the earliest photos appear. Then slowly, over the next decades, it gets altered. Windows bricked up, domes modified, statues removed, interiors partitioned, foundations covered, monumental staircases blocked off, and its purpose mutates. And in Prague specifically, the Grand Tartarian signature is everywhere. Buildings that look like royal palaces, but are labeled the post office, a university building, a police headquarters, or a psychiatric institution, as if the titles were slapped on long after the fact. In episode 3, we explore why this might have happened and what it suggests about the period between the mid-1800s and early 1900s, a period historians love to call a renaissance of nationalism and cultural identity. But perhaps there was more going on behind the curtain. When you dive into municipal records, you notice something interesting. The official narrative for these buildings often starts with a competition. One architect wins, others lose. Plans are submitted, but the surviving plans usually show designs that are significantly different from the buildings that actually exist. A staircase appears in the real building that is nowhere in the plans. Columns are thicker or differently spaced. Window bays don't match foundations uncovered during later expansions, or tram tunnel construction show older stonework. And the explanation you often get is that the architect changed the plan during construction, but the scale of the discrepancies suggests something bigger. Like the architect was adapting something pre-existing rather than designing from scratch. And if that's the case, then the conversion of these structures from palatial complexes into mundane institutions wasn't simply renovation, it was rebranding. Imagine inheriting a grand palace that predates your recorded history. You can't explain who built it or why. You find it too magnificent to destroy, too valuable to leave untouched, and too confusing to present to the public. So you rename it. You add your own decorative touches. You reassign its purpose to something civic or administrative. And once you do that, you can reshape the public's memory. A palace becomes a museum. A cathedral-like hall becomes a university. A cosmic-looking tower becomes an observatory or water tower. In some cases, the most ornate buildings strangely become mental asylums. Perhaps the most bizarre downgrade of all. Why would a society take its most stunning palatial complexes, structures with acoustic perfection and harmonic geometry, and transform them into hospitals for the mentally ill? That's not just impractical, it's bizarre. These buildings were not designed for clinical utility. They were designed for ceremonies, energy, resonance, or governance. Their size, their materials, their layouts, their monumental entrances all suggest something grander. And yet the 19th century is full of examples where magnificent buildings were quietly rebranded as asylums. Was this a tactic to hide their original purpose? Was it a convenient method to restrict public access? Or was it an attempt to associate these places with negativity, fear, and stigma? A palace repurposed as an asylum becomes a place no one wants to ask about. A building once celebrated becomes forgotten, and over time, its origins are erased. This pattern is not exclusive to asylums. Museums, government buildings, and administrative headquarters follow similar narratives. You can track this by analyzing the cost reports. Many of these buildings were supposedly constructed in an era where budgets were tiny, tools were primitive, and labor was manual. Yet the structures themselves rival the complexity of modern megaprojects. You notice that budgets don't match materials, construction timelines don't match scale, labor force records don't align with output. In Prague, this is extremely visible. The National Museum's official construction timeline is only 6 years long, but the stonework alone, given the technology of the 1880s, should have taken decades. And this is assuming all the stone was cut on site, all by hand, with manual scaffolding, no cranes, no electricity. But what if the building already existed and simply underwent facade work, dome modifications, and interior refinishing? Suddenly, the timeline becomes plausible. The renovation narrative fits better than the construction one. This brings us to the theories behind repurposing. There are 3 primary arguments people propose, and each adds another layer to the mystery. The first theory is the narrative control theory. It suggests that when a society inherits grand architecture without a known builder, it creates a story to justify the structure. An architect, a patron, a construction date. These stories help anchor the building into a national identity. You can't tell the public, we found this. You can't say, this existed before we could have built it. So you turn it into a museum of national pride or an administrative building. You give credit to someone recent enough to fit the timeline, even if the underlying structure is much older. The second theory is the containment theory. This idea proposes that these buildings had energetic, acoustic, or symbolic functions the inheriting society didn't understand or found dangerous. Enormous domes, geometric layouts, unusual corridors, specific alignments, and unexplained resonance properties might have been too mysterious or unscientific for the era. Rather than explore or preserve these functions, authorities partitioned the interiors, restructured the spaces, bricked up windows, reconfigured halls, or filled basements with dirt. Hospitals and asylums make convenient repurposing targets because they allow alteration of the original space without public scrutiny. The third theory is the erasure by utilization theory. This theory argues that the easiest way to erase the sacred or monumental identity of a building is not to demolish it, but to drown it in bureaucracy. If every chamber becomes an office, if every hall becomes a filing room, if every monumental staircase becomes a route to the HR department, the building loses its mythic aura. It becomes absorbed into the everyday. Its origin story dissolves. The beauty of this method is subtlety. Nobody questions the functions of a museum or government building. It blends into civic life. And once a building blends in, nobody asks who built it. This is exactly what happened across the late 19th century. Governments worldwide used monumental inherited buildings to represent their new power. This was not just an architectural decision, it was a political performance. In Prague, the National Museum became a symbol of cultural revival, a statement of national pride, and a monument to identity. But beneath that glorious narrative, a quieter story persists, that the museum was built on the bones of something older, something whose original purpose we can only guess. Old photos reveal this. Foundations and basement excavations reveal this. Strange mismatches in stonework reveal this. Decorative programs that don't fit the supposed era reveal this. Even the narrative of how the museum was decorated points toward inheritance.
Yeah, so I thought that was just a beautiful summary of so much of the research that's been done into Tartary and all the anomalies that people are finding when it comes to the timelines and who built it and who the supposed architect was and what evidence has been found that actually shows construction. And it really, the narrative really falls apart when you look in North America. I was just watching John Levi's latest video last night, and what I can say about him is like almost every single video that he does now is just a narrative destroyer in and of itself. And all you have to do is go into one building, like the building in this thumbnail right here, is was built in Paris and supposedly dismantled and then brought to Brazil and reassembled and then destroyed like 30 or 40 years later. And it's just absolutely ridiculous when you look at the building and you see the grandeur of it and the scale. It defies logic when you just start to pull at the threads a little bit of the official narrative, and that is proven true over and over and over again when it comes to research into the old world. So I've been watching John Levi for years. I've been looking into the Tartary mud floods, star forts, and all the other subjects, the sanitariums, the World's Fairs for about a decade now, and it's really nice to see how far it's come when it comes to the quality of the research that's being done, and the especially with the boots on the ground stuff. There's so many people not just looking into Tartary and altered history and looking at the architecture, but also geology as well and different sites around the world. And it's just it's hard to keep up with it all. But it's fascinating. There's definitely a concerted effort to rewrite history and paint a narrative of our past that's totally false. And you don't have to go back very far to see that that's the case, as Ben has shown, waking up with analog, the archivist, and his examination of the newspapers from 100 years ago. It's just a completely different story of what was going on. And so Prague was it's just a fantastic place to visit. It's my second time going, and I can warmly recommend it to anybody, because it's so beautiful and clean and safe and untouched by the bombings in the war. And yeah, this is zoom out here. Oh, the borders are gone. Oh no, there they are. So Czech Republic, Slovakia, Austria, Germany, and Prague right there. Years ago, I did a trip from Budapest to Vienna and then to Prague, but I was literally 2 days in each of the cities, which is absolutely ridiculous, because I should have just spent a week in one of them. I spent 5 days in Prague this time, and 4 counting travel, and I just touched a little bit on what there is to see. Luckily, I was staying like somewhere around here, right in the heart of the city, so a lot of sites were within just a few minutes walk for me. So in that little opening narration that I played, he was talking about this structure here, which is the National Museum, which if you just this one building alone is a narrative destroyer. It really is. If you start to dig into the history and what they tell us about who built it, how long it took. They say this structure was built in 6 years, and I have a hard time imagining that. I'll show some the photos that I took, but this thing is just absolutely massive, and you can't help but be impressed when you're right next to it. And to think of this going up in 6 years, along with everything you see here, is all impressive. It's all old world build in this central portion of the city. And then you've got the famous clock tower. Where's that? Over here. This is the the gem of Prague. Incredibly complex structure that's mapping time in a whole variety of different ways, which they, interestingly enough, modified in the last few years. And one of the panels they turned into a globe, but it didn't used to be that way. So yeah, I mean, you can see the scale of things, and it's just it's incredible. I'll show you some pictures of the National Museum. This is you just saw it from the outside, but this is this is what it looks like, the interior. This is looking up at the ceiling. Just perfection, absolute perfection when it comes to the structure, the build, the geometry involved, and this is just one of countless buildings in Prague that are jaw dropping, and I'm going to show the insides of some of them that I got to go in, and I didn't get to see any. There's at least two libraries in Prague that are world famous for their size, and I don't think you're even allowed to go in this one anymore. But I mean, this is what a library should be, huh? Oh, I thought it was going to go big there. What a place to sit down and read a book. Doesn't seem like the libraries were repurposed. They seem like they remain as they were. Yeah, the Prague Library, and then this is Clementinum. This is another. Look at this thing. It's I thought it was going to go with the big picture. That was the same. Here we go. The Clementinum. That's the one I was looking for. Looks like something, AI made. But these are real, and you can go see them for yourself. Yeah. So I did a ton of walking, sprained my ankle 2 days in. So my last 2 days, I had to choose between hanging out in my Airbnb or just suffering, and I chose to suffer, and found my ankle, my foot. It was actually my foot, not my ankle, that I hurt. But the longer I walked, the better it felt. But the next day was not the case. So yeah, let me just pull up some of the shots that I took. Here, we can do that one. This was the view from my Airbnb. I splurged a little bit, and that's looking at the square. That's the clock tower there behind, and then up on the hill there, it looks like a fairy tale castle on the hill. That's that's said to be, by many, the largest castle complex in the world. 13th Monkey in the chat disagrees with that theory, but it is pretty huge. And just where to go? There it is. Wrong screen. Hey, there. Yeah, so these are just some shots that I took while walking around the inner portion of the city. I mean, look at how ornate and just solidly built these structures are. things that are being built now are not likely to stand for 50 or 100 years, and these are still there hundreds of years later. And when you go inside, I mean, look at how ornate this is. Just the chandelier alone is worthy of respect. And this is just this is an art museum or art palace of Prague, and just one of many incredible structures. This reminds me of the Rialto, or not the Rialto, the Ponte di Sospiri in Venice, which is between the Doge Palace and the prison. And so there's this, they call it the Bridge of Sighs, because as the prisoners would walk across, there were a couple little windows that they could look out. That was the last daylight they'd see before they went into the prison. So this is almost identical construction to that. And the most famous prisoner there being Casanova, who pissed off a lot of people for his infidelities. So that's the National Museum. You can get a real taste of the scope from that angle. And this is just looking down a long random street, and you just everywhere you turn, there's what appears to be antiquitech and etheric spires and metal domes and a lot of the balls that have been removed from other parts of from the buildings in other parts of the world that probably held things like mercury and other things. Those all remain in Prague. This is Wenceslas Square, and to my back in this photograph is the National Museum. So that's what you see when you're up at the museum looking down. And just a random street in Prague, and everywhere you look, there's something to see, and it doesn't get boring. Prices weren't too bad. The most expensive was my lodging, obviously, but food was definitely reachable price-wise. So I took a long walk the first day I got there, and just kind of encircled the city to get or the old part of the city to get a taste of what there was, and I found my way to a place called Vyšehrad, which is a star fort, and has an amazing church, which you'll see in a moment. There, it is in the background. But just walking down the street, and then there's something like this to see. Hey, Lele. Hi, Tarita. OIC. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, and then here you get a taste of the size of the walls. I'll show some maps, some of the old maps of Prague in a moment. They give a real taste of the scope of the city and how it was, back in the 1500s. But you can see that's probably 30-foot wall at least. And this isn't even part of like the main fortification structures. There's some maps here sent to me by 13th Monkey. This is from 1742, and just showing the outline. You can see the bastions here of the what was really just a big star citadel. And Mike mapped it out for me here. Where'd it go? These are not showing up with, oh, there. Yeah, so you can see the red lines are where the bastions used to be. And in some of these places, if you get down on street view, you can actually see these walls, and they're, like I said, 30, 40 feet tall. They look just like the walls at the Vatican. When I used to live in Rome, I'd walk walk around those walls and look up at them in awe. And these were no different. Down here is Vyšehrad, which is there's a star fort there and a church, and I've got a couple video clips of me walking around. So Steve is going to come in and we're going to talk a bit about alchemy, and I have some clips. I took a tour of an alchemical museum, which was amazing. They discovered this museum 20 years ago, roughly, when there was a flood in the city, and one of the roads collapsed and it exposed tunnels, and that's when they found the museum. Well, it wasn't a museum that they found an alchemical laboratory, but now it's a museum. And it's it was like literally a 3-minute walk, somewhere right around here, 3-minute walk from where I was staying. So that was helpful because I could hardly walk that day. So welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly.
Yeah. Hang on. I can't hear you.
You can't? They hear me.
Show. I can't hear you, Mike.
Can't hear me at all, huh? Let's see. Have I added you? Removed?
Hang on.
Playback. I don't know. Everyone in the...
Oh, I've got you.
They can hear. You got me. Okay.
Gotcha. All right.
I was like, everyone can hear me in the chat. Good evening. Welcome, sir. Surviving the cold in Scotland?
Yeah. It's bitter today. Like, it's a freezing fog. It's been like about -3 or -4. Yeah, it was. Yeah. One of the coldest days we've had this year. Yeah.
It was that cold a couple of days I was in Prague. There were frozen puddles, but we had sun today in Spain, and it hit about 18 degrees Celsius, which was crazy. So sorry to rub it in, but
begin swimming.
Yeah. So I was just talking about the Alchemical Museum that I visited, and I'm going to show a little bit of that, and then we can talk about it. I was also showing some maps of Prague, and what it looked like back in the day, like that. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah. So this is bare bones, right? That's just, it's all the inner structure, but the size of these walls is just mind blowing. You said you were there 3 different times?
Yeah, I went there many years ago to play music on 3 different occasions, and I did get to walk around the city, and it was amazing. I was blown away. But this was before I understood the alchemical history of Prague. So it was years later I started looking into the alchemy of it, and I've been looking into it again today, and just going a bit deeper with it, and it's absolutely fascinating. It seems like the city itself is like a living sort of sigil of alchemy, or it's like alchemy is expressed throughout the whole design of the city at like every level. It's like a central alchemical. It's like an alchemical city, and so there's things. I mean, we can talk about it after you show your videos, but I'm blown away by what I've been learning about it.
Yeah, and there's such a continuity to the architecture. Like, it was, it wasn't designed mishmash, piecemeal. We'll build a bit here and then a bit there. It was there's thought behind everything in it, and it's obvious when you see it and you experience it firsthand. So yeah, let's see. I'll pull up some of the clips that have to do with the museum. Here we go. Yeah, so I went initially, and I missed the timing of the tour, so I had to come back an hour later, and so I just walked around a little bit and filmed a bit of the neighborhood, which you can see was anything but shabby. And that's the entrance, Speculum Alchemy or something. Yeah, Alchemy. And
yeah, those
they were
alembics.
Yeah, I was asking about those. You, tell people why they're shaped that way.
Yeah, well, I think it's for distillation purposes. So, you know, you heat. They kind of have this neck that goes up and like curves round and down like a, you know, like a bird, and you know you can use it to heat the liquid and then bring it up and then bring it back down again and cool it for distillation. So yeah, obviously distillation was a
Right,
really
so
central.
the vapor escapes.
Yeah.
So as I was walking around, I just stumbled across this. This is one of the famous sites that a lot of people intentionally go to. This is I think it's an homage to Franz Kafka. Strange sculpture. Not sure exactly what it's supposed to represent. And yeah, the museum is really close to the central square. That's the clock tower there in the background. And they've got these great old cars that go around the city. I didn't get in one because it looked really cold. But yeah, nice way to get around the town. They've got all the old trams are still there, you know, that are electric and running on the rails, and it's yeah, there's so it's like functioning like it did back in the day, you know, it seems in many ways.
Yeah.
Although the buildings I think have been not they're not functioning as they did. So this is
Yeah, it was amazing. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, look at those. I love all that glassware stuff. See, when I was a kid, man, I used to just draw. Like when I was at school, I would used to just doodle all over my jotters with you know, chemical glassware and stuff like that. I just had this obsession with it. Seeing this kind of thing is yeah, definitely hits all my buttons.
Yeah, well, you know, I had you on my channel, I don't know, it's probably been about a year now or something, to talk about your book, A Fool's Wisdom. And we basically only covered the first portion of the book where you're kind of going through the mainstream scientific narratives that you've kind of debunked one by one. And, you know, the second half of the book is all about alchemy, and it was incredibly interesting. And I had all sorts of notes, and my copy of the book that I had taken notes in and underlined went missing. And I have your book now, but I have to reread the second half again in order to take all the notes. So I'll have you back on and we can talk about that. But you are an alchemist, a musical alchemist as well. For those who don't know, Steve, his channel is, let's see, right here. Stephen A. Young. He's written a fantastic book called A Fool's Wisdom and has put out a bunch of great videos and, you know, talking a lot about true science, which is, you know, once upon a time was called alchemy, and it wasn't a false dichotomy of materialism and spirit. It was an understanding that everything contains both, and you know, represents in my understanding a far deeper understanding and knowledge of reality than what we've been given.
Yeah, and
You know,
and you know, Prague is really, you know, that is like the embodiment of alchemy. It's like Prague is evidence of what alchemy can accomplish when it's, you know, put to use. You know, it was Rudolf II, right? The kind of alchemical king. He sort of surrounded himself with alchemists and astrologers and all this. And, you know, the city, as far as I can tell, I mean, the city is basically like an ongoing work. You know, it's always being, you know, developed and sort of made. But just a couple of things that I learned about it today that I wasn't aware of is the 7 hills. 7 hills around the city, and they each correspond with the 7 luminaries. And then there's 5 parts inside the city that correspond with the 5 elements. So you have like Prague Castle, Rajne, I think I can't pronounce it, but yeah, the hill where Prague Castle is all about the sun. And then you have Petrine, which I think you went to. Petrine is the moon.
That.
Yeah. So the Petrine is all about the moon. The hill is all has lunar correspondence. And you have Vitkov, which is the Martian hill, and it's all about war and strength and this kind of thing. And then the other one you mentioned that you went to, Vishrad. Vishrad is Venus. It's all about love. It's the hill of love and artistic inspiration.
Right.
And then there's Letna, which is
this is Vishrad here,
yeah,
which is obviously a star fort with massive walls. I'm going to show a video where I'm walking around
there it is. Yeah.
this structure with just an incredible church. I've got shots from the inside of that as well. Now it's cemetery and whatnot, but that's Vishrad. And then you mentioned like, where is it? Here is, this is whatever that name was you were trying to pronounce. This is the castle.
The first one,
this
Prague
is the
Castle,
famous castle complex here with the cathedral in the middle, which I've got fun story to tell about that, which I'll do when I'm showing it. But that is phenomenal. And then this is Petrine Hill. So it's interesting you're talking about the 7 hills, because Rome also has 7 hills, and I think that's reoccurring. But let's see. So here's definitely one of them. This is one, maybe this, and then Vishrad is over here. So,
and I'm even wondering, after seeing that one you just showed, if by hills, actually in some cases these hills are actual star forts, right? They're maybe not natural hills, but man-made structures, like the first one you showed.
Like the whole the entire hill itself.
Like
in fact, I think hill, I saw a video where the guy was going through this area, and this is it here. I think this is it could very well be that the entire hill is man-made.
Just incredible.
I mean, this is just,
the design.
I have no idea what this is, but this is just a random building I was looking at earlier. And look at this thing. It's got 6, you've got the mud flood windows here at the bottom. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels. And it's like 30 windows long times 6. It's like just metallic roof. It's just, and it just, when you look at the whole city, it just kind of blends in as a smaller structure. It's mind-boggling.
The cities,
really, the whole thing.
I was thinking about cities the other day because I was in Edinburgh, and a similar kind of thing. Just amazing buildings everywhere, and you can't quite fathom how they built it all. But it's not just buildings, right? A city's not just buildings. A city is also doors. So for many buildings, there's even more doors, and your experience of a city is about the doors that you have access to. When we go to a city as a tourist or whatever, we only have access to the same doors as everyone else, like the public. All the public doors are open to us, but there's all these other doors that are closed. And when you look at cities like Prague, and you wonder, like, what is going on the top floors of those buildings? Who has the keys to those doors? What are they doing? How are they living? I almost think there's just a whole other world of people living in those buildings that we don't even know about.
100%. And not only that, you've got all the underground components, that it goes deep everywhere when it comes to tunneling systems, and even in the US, you've got places like Seattle, and I think Portland as well, and San Francisco. They've got these underground sections of the city that they have some story of a great fire or a great flood or something, and then they just like paved over, like started building skyscrapers on top of it. It's
Yeah, and
pretty
this
silly.
alchemy lab, as the tour lady was saying, this alchemy lab had tunnels connecting it to all like the main places. And Prague, even like a tunnel going under the river and everything. Yeah.
It went to
Yeah.
the square with the clock tower. It went to the big castle with the cathedral that I was just showing on Google Earth. And there was a third place. And yeah, I don't remember if I already said it, but there was I said it before, but I don't think you were here yet. But there was a flood about 20 years ago, roughly, that caused a bit of one of the roads to collapse, and that exposed the tunnels. And so that was how they found this laboratory here. And I'm gonna play some clips because the woman who led the tour let me record the whole thing. But this is just the upper section, and well, I don't want to spoil it. So here she is. She was great, and
it is the second oldest house in Prague.
Second oldest house in Prague.
UNESCO.
Can you hear that?
To talk about the Renaissance period, about the 16th and 17th century, when Rudolf II was a...
Are you hearing the audio?
Yep.
Steve?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Roman emperor. He moved from Vienna to Prague because he had conflicts with Catholic Church and with his family, so he wanted to gain more independence by moving here. Prague was 6 times bigger than Vienna. There was more art, more science, more multicultural, and that's what Rudolf loved about this place. He supported many occult scientists like alchemists, astronomers, or fortune tellers, and that was the biggest reason why he had conflict with Catholic Church, because they viewed these people as heretics. They had to work in secret, for example, underground.
I'm just going to pause it and use a different video player because for some reason the audio is out of sync here. Nope, that was the wrong video. There we go.
Separated into 3 single-floor houses with an inner enclosed courtyard. The first house, this one, was a herbal pharmacy. The second one was a pub, and the third one was a hostel. Under the building, there is an intersection of secret escape tunnels that led all the way to the Prague Castle, the Republic Square, and the Old Town Square. There is also the laboratory. This room is a study room that was meant for scientific research. People came here with their exotic wares to exchange information or to make deals. One of the most interesting things in this room are the original painted elements in each corner of the room. Here you can see water, air, fire, and earth. They are from the 17th century, and alchemists used them for their furnace, for their elixir preparation. So they concentrated this energy through the chandelier that's in the center of the room on the ceiling, and then all the way down to the furnace. This part of alchemy was called hermetics. When we look more closely at this chandelier, you can see a creature on it. It has horns, but it's not a devil, it's a Moses, prophet from Bible that served as a mediator between heaven and earth. It wasn't supposed to have horns in the first place, but due to a mistranslation in Bible from the 4th century, he has them. And people weren't surprised at the time because horns were a sign of power for centuries already. Many gods were pictured with them, and even Michelangelo later in time painted Moses with horns. You can see him, for example, up here on this library. There are faces of Moses, and on the bottom there are faces of alchemists. This library is only a replica of the original one because the plans of it were stored, but the original one was unfortunately eaten by woodworms. So this replica has many animals in it, most of them are lizards, and that's because alchemists had their own symbolic animal. Something between a dragon and a snake. This creature was called Ouroboro, and it was like eating its own tail as a sign of eternity and never-ending cycle. Then there are many bottles, but the most interesting one in this library is this one, the framed one in the middle, because it's the original elixir of eternal youth that was found downstairs in the laboratory. It consists of 77 herbs and alcohol, so it's more like a herbal medicine. Nowadays, it's not a liquid anymore, it's more like a marmalade, so the consistency goes. You can also see the sign of this laboratory on it. It's also on the furnace. And this sign symbolized eternity. And there were 8 alchemical laboratories in Prague in total. So each one had its own sign that was printed on the bottles. Then there is some other wood furniture, but the only original piece is this bench from the 17th century. The rest is only replica. Alchemists had a secret entrance to the laboratory. We still
fun
have a
part.
replica of it in this room, so you can take a look around and guess where it could be. The secret entrance to the laboratory. Here. No, it's a secret one. There. Oh, okay. Here.
Underneath the rug.
No. There. It's in the bookshelf. The secret entrance was originally also in the bookshelf, but we have a different mechanism, so it's easier to open, but it's still not like IKEA, so you have to push very hard.
Wow.
Now we can move downstairs to the lobby.
Gets me every time.
Yeah, I want that's like a life ambition for me to have something like that.
Yeah, it's like totally appeals to the child in you.
Yeah.
We will start right here, so you can go because there's going to be a lot of people.
Oh,
So if you want to see.
So that's one of the doors that goes, it's one of the tunnels that goes somewhere in the city. So did you see anything you had never seen when you checked these videos out, Steve?
A lot of things, man. Yeah, I mean, I've seen drawings of spaces like this, but I've not like peered into an actual preserved medieval alchemy laboratory before. And
apparently the king who was funding this, he had brought in, I think it was something close to like 1,000 alchemists from around Europe. So they weren't messing around when it came to alchemy. And they were being bankrolled by the king, so
yeah. Yeah, well, it was called the royal art. Maybe that's why you can only really do it if you're bankrolled by the king.
Right.
Yeah,
let's see. And so there's just a few more short clips I'll play of
Rudolf II
inside here.
supported alchemy, and he gave these alchemists enough financial support so they could work here. That was until the year 1612 when he abdicated. His brother took his place, and that was against occult science, so he stopped all the financial support. And alchemists had no other choice than to leave this laboratory. So in the 17th century, before they left, they tried to hide as much evidence as it was possible that they were ever here. For example, they painted over the elements that are upstairs in the study room, or they walled up the entrance to the laboratory. They were successful because it was indeed forgotten until the year 2002, when there were huge floods in Prague and the street in front of the building collapsed, and it uncovered these tunnels and then the laboratory itself. So from the year 2012, we have a museum in here. The first room served for elixir preparation. The furnace in there is the only original furnace that you will see down here. There were 3 in total back in the years, but this is the only original that you will see down here. Some of the bottles on the bottom are original, mostly the most dirty ones, and the rest is only replica. You could also notice that this room isn't ending and it's going somewhere to the left. And that's because there is the first tunnel that leads to the Prague castle. It served for the nobles so they could get here in secret, unnoticed by the Catholic Church. Maybe even for Rudolf II. There are some clues, but it's not proven. For example, a plaque was found in here. You can see a replica of it right here on the wall. It has a Latin inscription that says that alchemists that work in this specific laboratory are protected by the emperor. Also, this laboratory was owned by the personal doctor of Rudolf II, Tadeusz Hayek from Hayek. He was an alchemist and he made medication like elixirs for Rudolf. So this could be another reason why he would ever visit. Then there's one more tunnel in this area. Here you can see an iron door, and behind them there is a tunnel that's only 200 meters long, and it leads to the Old Town Square. And this tunnel is the only one that didn't collapse through the years. If it was open for public, we would be able to go all the way to the end, but it's the most unstable one. Because during the World War II, the town hall collapsed and even multiple buildings around the tunnel, so it's the most dangerous one. And
Okay, so the tunnel that goes to the Prague castle has collapsed.
it collapsed and it's even walled up at the end due to safety reasons. But it was the longest one. It even went under the river. Yeah, about 1 kilometer long. So
Tunnels under the
let's move
river,
and
you
then we
know,
can
as
move
you
to the
do.
next room.
Show me the pictures.
Stacy says collapsed due to bombing, perhaps, but fortunately, Prague wasn't bombed out during World War II. One of the few places that wasn't, I guess. Yeah, this is just looking at the inside of. There we go.
Okay, so the next room served for the transmutation process. Alchemists tried to turn metals into a gold. It was the first step out of three to create the Philosopher's Stone, which you may know from Harry Potter. But to create such a stone, they had to follow very complicated conditions like watch the constellation of stars, the air pressure, the moon phases. So it wasn't just about the science, it was about these other factors as well. In this room, there's also a furnace, but this one is only a replica. And on the top of the furnace, there are some original bottles. In this room, there was found, like, some golden nuggets were found in here, but they were probably just brought in here because alchemists made deals with gold. Then, right here on the wall, you can see a plaque. It's a replica of the original. It's picturing the winning of Christians over pagans, and it was here for a reason. Because it covered a chest that was walled up in there with documentation about this place, recipes for their elixirs, but the wall collapsed in this area and the chest was found again. So in the year 2002, Benedictine monks from Brno in Czech Republic started to specialize on recreating these elixirs based on the original recipes. They were successful with only 4 of them because the rest contained drugs, heavy metals, and herbs that are extinct nowadays. So these 4 elixirs are more like a herbal medication. They improved memory, blood circulation, or immunity. So they really helped people in the Renaissance period because people lived up to 40 years old and they could die with almost every illness they got. So because of the herbs, they were like very like effective. But this is just a warning that these elixirs don't do any magic and they won't make you live forever. So they are available at the store, but they won't.
Mm. There's your propaganda. I knew it was coming
Yeah.
sooner or later.
Almost every room. It was very essential for alchemists because the air in here was very poor and sometimes even explosions happened. So they could suffocate quite easily. When there was a lot of smoke, it went through the cobblestones or the ventilation system all the way to the street. And people noticed, but most of them just thought that the smoke was coming from hell. They made legends about it. One of the most famous ones is about a fiery
Smoke from
chariot
hell.
that was drowned by goats, and it disappeared under this
Wonder what they
building
thought of
in a puff
volcanoes.
of arctic smoke. We now know that it wasn't something mystical, that the smoke was just coming from this laboratory. The next room was a storage. This storage was for charcoal, wood, and bottles, and there's also the ventilation system. And because of the smoke, the Catholic Church got sometimes suspicious, but thanks to the herbal pharmacy that was upstairs, this place was never uncovered. The pharmacy was a great cover-up because they just said that the smoke was coming from them. The owner, Tadeusz Hayek from Hayek, owned both places, the laboratory and the pharmacy, so he made them cooperate with each other. And that's why it was never uncovered before Rudolf II. So take a look and then we can move further back.
Yeah, I did get some sense that but well, when you first start looking into alchemy, of course, they try to paint this picture that it's like some like ancient medieval science, which is now done and dusted. It's kind of it's over with. Modern science, took its place, kind of thing. And I do feel like
Been
this
there,
tour
done
is,
that.
yeah, it's this tour is kind of showing that. It's like, look, yeah, the alchemists, they used to be here, underground, but their work didn't amount to much. Their potions didn't work and that kind of thing. And here's the remains of their lab. But I think in reality, modern alchemy labs are probably in some of those really nice buildings with like way more modern technology, and there's like higher alchemy going on right above ground than just these guys underground, like trying to make gold or whatever.
Well, all these devices we're using are high level alchemy, right? I mean, they've got
Yeah.
all these novel elements that are put together in incredibly microscopic ways to facilitate what we're doing now. And, we're taught it's all just science, and these people didn't know what they were doing. They were superstitious and didn't really understand the workings of the universe, and like we do now, thanks to, agencies like NASA. But I just want to show that the final highlight, which I think might be coming up on here, which is the original. Oh, here it is. Yeah,
this
the original
thing, yeah.
forge. Look at this thing. This is wild.
Mhm.
And they had to construct it on site, right? You're not getting that down the tunnels. Imagine
Yeah.
a bunch of guys trying
That
to
looks like
carry that down.
the Jeff Bezos, the tip of the Jeff Bezos rocket,
Blue Origin. The original
Blue Origin, yeah, a bit like that.
Yeah, so that was fun, to go on this tour and get to see this stuff firsthand. What did you come across anything novel when you were digging into stuff?
Well, there was a little thing on the wall there, which shows the two like alembics like plugged into each other, like in a sort of infinity symbol. I saw that a few times, like set up, and yeah, I think this is like I'm not sure I understand it completely, but it's like there's like a solar vessel and a lunar vessel, and it's symbolic of the alchemical marriage. And so you get this situation where the purified essences come out of one and then go into out the top of one and then go into the bottom of the other, where they're then further purified and then put back into the other one. And there's this kind of like endless cycle of purification. But yeah, I also find out a lot of the street names around there are named after like stages of alchemy. So they have a street named after the Negredo, at the Black Sun, I think it's called, at the White Peacock, the Albedo. There's at the Red Eagle. So there's like streets and corners that have like alchemical names on them, referencing certain stages of transformation and stuff. There's even this idea that like the city itself is supposed to transmute you. Like while you're there, as you walk around it, you undergo a personal transformation from its beauty and the way it's all designed. Based on ley lines. Things are built on ley lines and intersections of ley lines. And the 4 main areas of the city, so you've got the old town, the new town, the lesser town, and the Jewish quarter. They all form like a rosy cross with like the ether in the middle. And yeah, it's actually it's pretty amazing. And there's that Charles Bridge, which has got a great story about how it was built. They picked a very specific astrological numerical alignment to lay the foundation stone for the bridge. And it was something crazy. I'm just looking for it here. Sorry, so it was the 9th of July at 5:31 in the morning on the year 1357. They laid the foundation stone for the Charles Bridge, and it was a palindromic date, so it's 135797531. And they reckon it has significant astrological power and everything. You can look into it, but so it's that just looking at how they built that bridge gives you a taste of like the kind of thinking that goes into like these structures. They lay the foundation stone at like very precise time with a certain astrological alignment lined with ley lines, and then they start building it. And these buildings are not really ever finished. They're they're always ongoing. They're always maintaining them or updating them, or it's a living city, a living work of art. Yeah, it's incredible. I'm gonna have to go back there.
Yeah, this particular section here is known as Malastrana, and this is Lesser Prague, they call it, which is just it's just Prague, I mean, and this is where the castle and the cathedral are, and the Charles Bridge is just fantastic. I've got a clip here walking across it. Let's see. So I'll just show a couple of things that this is the inside of the cathedral with the 2 spires up at Vyšehrad, just to get a sense of how ornate everything is. And there's no inch that's untouched by some form of artwork. That's the one that I showed. There it is from the outside. Yeah, and that's looking from Vyšehrad to Charles Bridge. Or actually, Charles Bridge is further in the background. That's right here. This is just another one of several bridges. I mean, even the cobblestones and right down to the manholes. Like, look at that thing. It's we get these metal lids, and they're doing stuff like that.
Symbol right there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the 4 quadrants. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about Prague was that they've got a real major rat problem. I mean, look at the size of these things. They need to do something about that. Like, I was like, what? Yeah, so this is I can't remember the name of the river, but it's just and this is on Christmas Day, so I'm not sure exactly what this guy was doing there.
Isn't he supposed to be delivering presents today? What's going on here?
He took the day off, or maybe he had his elves doing it for him. There's just something going on everywhere you look. And I think I'm going to say exactly that here, so I'll mute myself.
So much.
But it's really precious. There's just so much beauty to take in, and if you like to walk, it's the perfect city for it. And then looking ice rink on the water. And the trams, it's really easy to get around, and the public transit is cheap as well. But you can see this is looking onto the other side. That's Lesser Prague over there. Or this is Petrine Hill. There's the tower. I'm going to show that up close and from the inside, maybe after you've taken off. But I mean, you can see every one of these buildings is just a gem. It looks like a wedding cake or something, just so ornate, and you can imagine how beautiful they are inside. And then this is one of the most famous sites in the city right here. This is known as the Dancing Torso or something. I can't remember, dancing, but it's like anywhere else this would be like cool, but when you see it in relationship to what's around it, it's just really a blight on the city.
Modern. Modern art.
I had another shot showing it in relationship to the square that it's in the corner of, and it's an eyesore, really. And everyone's like, oh, they want to take pictures in front of that.
The top of it?
There's a bar up there, like a terrace. That's apparently really nice. I didn't go up, but it
looks like a bad haircut.
Great view. It does.
I mean, what is that? You consider the top of the other buildings, they're always very, precise, and that just looks all scrappy.
Someone says that's the result of acid. Yeah, that's So here's another eyesore. Look at that ugly thing. And then here's the road with the cute little tram going by. And then look at this building here. I think this is the Opera House. And I mean, look at how ornate the pillar is. It's just, that could be, downtown Rome or something. It's so monumental. I've got some great shots of that I'll show, but look at this pillar or light post or
what?
It's just like everywhere you turn, there's something to look at, But then this thing, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
It's an insult is what it is. I think that's the point. But this is you can see it's here and this is here. Like, why would you do that unless you were trying to like go, we control it now. There's just a park and random building. And like I said before, it felt very safe everywhere I walked. People were cordial, and they've totally aware, respect for personal space. And I suppose it's probably worse in the summertime when the city is just packed out. But I didn't see any litter or very, very little graffiti. Apparently, that also gets worse, the litter aspect when all the tourists come in the summer. And that's looking across at Petrine Hill. And this is an incredible building here. Obligatory selfie.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the Charles Bridge. That's one end of it. Just,
oh my goodness.
It's
they're like we just need a platform to get people from one side of the river to the other, but why not make it into this?
Yeah. And we need spires. We need spires with like all kinds of tech. Like look at those things.
You can see the wires coming off it too.
Yep, you can. Yeah. But that's to ground it for when the lightning strikes. Yeah. I mean, that's just like one little piece of it. I don't even know what this building was, but I had to get up close, and I mean, look at this thing.
What? Oh my God.
And I mean, even up here, you got these like golden shells, and it's just like they didn't just do it. I mean, the logistics involved in just building one of these structures, and then you've got a city that's got thousands of them, and if you start to look at the population rates and what was happening in Europe at that time. Here's another eyesore. Look at this. You've got these
Oh yeah.
incredible structures, and then you got the Fairmont Hotel, and it's like they're not even trying. Look at that thing.
Yeah, that is so ugly. Oh, how could you build that there? That's just read the room, people.
And the Fairmont, I think it's
Yeah.
I think that's one of the fancier hotels. You know, saw Banksy, and then a little like the next day I was walking. There's actually a Banksy museum in Prague. Oh, this was cool.
Mhm.
One of the evenings I was just like after I had dinner with a friend, and then went and I was walking, and I was like, it said live jazz, and I walked down this tunnel, and then I walked down a flight of stairs and another flight of stairs, and let's see, where's the play button? There we go. And it was free to enter, and it was just amazing jazz. Listen to this. Yeah, so I got in for like the last hour, half an hour of these guys playing, and it was just amazing. This was the entrance. This is after I've already gone down a flight of stairs. You go down in here, and then under this arch, and then to the right, and it's like in a cave. You know, just random jazz club. You know, underground. Christmas lights of the central square there. I mean, here's another one. It's just like,
Yeah, this is it. I mean, I wonder like what causes like so much effort to be put into artwork and detail in these certain locations. You know, is it something in the ether, or is it like a shared belief, like everyone's united in a common religion or something? Is it the ley lines? You know, what is it that causes people to just put so much into art, so much detail and effort? You know, when you look at those kind of things, you're like, cost could not have been an issue. Like these days, we're used to like working with budgets and, you know, having all these like constraints and stuff. But when you look at these things, you're like, they did not hold back. I mean, like they just put everything into it. It's so inspiring because you know, as a musician, right, when you're crafting music, you're doing the same thing. You're putting all these like details into every like moment, every millisecond of the song. And when I see cities like this, I feel like that same attention to detail that musicians do has been made to like every inch of the city, and it's just phenomenally inspiring. Like, yeah,
when you see this bridge from a distance, it looks plain, you know, and then you get up close to it, and it's like, you know, bronze statues and all of this ornate detail here, and symmetry, and you know, it's just like, and that's one of the more boring bridges, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
This little thing on the
astonishing.
hill, I took this photograph from across the river. My phone's got a pretty good camera. You know, I don't even know what this was, but it's got a cool look to it.
Yeah, magic.
And then here's our modern art. You know,
what on earth?
How'd you like to get impaled
like
on that? Oh my
Yeah.
god! So this is that building I showed before, you know, that had this amazing column right here. You can see the edge of it, you know, and then this is just the contrast, you know, the juxtaposition between here's what we do now, that's what we did then, you know? These two, they had it figured out. And he knows it. It was so cold that day. Yeah, so here's just a feel for crossing the Charles Bridge.
Yeah, so there's 30 statues guarding the bridge, as it were, 15 on each side, I think.
Apparently, most of them have been replicated and are somewhere else now. Who knows if that's true or not? Yeah, that's the Charles Bridge, and we showed those. And this is, as I started to go up towards the castle, this is just some random little square. And again, everything you see is just absolutely perfect. No expense spared for anything.
Like the layout of the cobblestones as well. The way they've laid the cobblestones in like perfect like arches and spirals and stuff.
Yeah, they don't. It's not just like grid. It's like it's there's flair even to the floor. The floor has flair. You know, and then this is like, oh, we need some lamps here. Okay, I gotcha. You know. This is the entrance to the castle, and it's interesting. I'll show this on Google Earth because obviously the castle was built after the cathedral, because why would you build something as beautiful as this and then block it with this thing? Like, so you can't get up, you can't get a good view of the front of this cathedral because this is here and this is here. So the only way you can really see it, you know, is through Google Earth at this point, as far as that view. So this is looking at that structure that's blocking it. That's the entrance to the castle. And this is, you know, that's as far away as I could get from it. You're just like, oh. And you know, it's reminiscent of the Milan Cathedral or Notre Dame with the flying buttresses and the gargoyles, and this was cool. It's just a door knocker. You know. That door, that was like a half an inch thick steel. And then I told you this already, but I saw this door. So when I got there, let's see if here you can see that there was a line stretching around the building of people waiting to get inside. And I was like, my foot was hurting, and I didn't want to wait, and I didn't want to pay to go inside. So I just walked around the side of the building, and then I saw this door, and you know, how can you not try the handle when you see a door like that, right? So I did, and next thing I knew, I found myself inside the cathedral, which there was only about 10, 12 people in the whole place, and they hadn't even started to let people in yet. So I got to have the place to myself more or less for about 20 minutes, and got some incredible photographs. I'll show a little video clip here in a second, but I mean, just everything is so impressive, you know. It's just like these columns are massive. This thing, I don't even know what it was. Let's see, what does it say right here? Anybody know? Check. Yeah. But this is what it looked like from the front. You know, just, I don't know if that was pewter or silver. If that was silver, that thing's worth a pretty penny. Crazy opulence. And the lighting was incredible. Look at this. I wanted to hear that in action, but didn't get the opportunity. You can imagine the sound that would put through here, but look at the size of this column. It's just nuts.
Yeah, just the height of those arches and everything boggles the mind.
What an incredible building this is.
Here you get a sense of it in 3D, because
just made as a
This is-
space to pray. That's all. just
Right.
somewhere to pray and contemplate God. Oh
Yeah.
my God, nah.
Yeah, well, while everyone's living in shacks and and all, they were also farming and doing everything they had to do to eat as well, and they didn't have Netflix and chill or Amazon delivery. But I mean, look, the stained glass, just being inside these places makes you feel better. I just like felt an energy being in there, and obviously they're probably on nodal points of the ley lines and everything, but this is just one little random alcove like off to the side, and look at these things way up high where nobody can appreciate them really. Oh, it's part. Oh, I didn't even notice.
Another
It's part of the organ.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine? Wow, the sound that place could have made. Oh my goodness, what a I had no idea that was part of the organ. So I imagine there's several. That's something to experience.
Yeah.
Huh. And this is
Need to
this
get
is
my
the
hands on one
backside.
of those organs.
And so I'm going to play a clip in a second here where it's the clock tower of this building chiming, and it's just cacophony. All of the bells are doing something completely different, and I don't think that's how it was originally. I think they were all probably in sync, and they had the solfeggio frequencies, and they're just like they're doing something that's gonna like send good vibes through the air. This was not. Wait till you hear this. So this is the tower alongside of it. Look, there are people up there. Yeah, they probably built this in what, 5 years or something. It's like, I mean, the National Museum only took 6 years according to the official story, which is absurd. Here we go. This is what it sounds like now. Now, granted, my microphone on my headphones was lousy, but when you think of how good it could sound,
Yeah.
and that's what they're doing now. It's like,
yeah, the microphone is definitely playing a role there, but yeah,
it's
I
not.
hear what you mean. Yeah,
It wasn't any better live, to be honest. It's not just that the microphone is making it worse. It was already bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I went to lunch. There's the Banksy Museum. I've shown these already. So, did you find anything out about the Golem? We didn't talk about that at all.
The Golem. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, that's a very interesting story. So, yeah, the story is that there's a Jewish quarter, right, of the city, and the Jewish alchemists made a golem from clay. They went down, got some clay from the bottom of the river, and constructed this beast. And basically, through rituals, they were able to bring this thing to life. So it was considered to be basically body and spirit, but no soul. So it was built to protect the Jewish people in the 16th century, the Jewish people in Prague, from the attacks that were coming against them at that time. So, yeah, so it's and the story goes that they would disable the golem on the Sabbath. Every Sabbath, they would disable it so that it would rest, right? So that the golem wasn't working on the Sabbath. But one day they forgot to do it, and the golem went around and caused some havoc. And it's kind of like a dumb, this big dumb thing that would obey orders, but it was very clumsy and all this kind of thing. So there's a story that the one time they forgot to disable it for the Sabbath, it ended up causing havoc. And then they ended up putting it up in this attic and like disabling it for good and like locking the door, and the door's been locked ever since. So it's still in there in this building. particular
It
building.
sounds like a variant of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically like a Frankenstein's monster. So
So I
yeah, they say
know
it was
you
like
have to go real soon,
it's
but I
distinct
just
from
want
a
to finish.
homunculus. Apparently, the golem is like a different thing from the homunculus.
Right.
But
So I had
yeah,
a synchronicity that happened just before I left for Prague. I'd already booked the flight and the lodging and everything. And then I got the latest Dan Brown book, which it's like his first in 9 years. It's called The Secret of Secrets. And so I cracked it open. I started reading. I read the whole thing in like 3 days. It was like 700 pages. I couldn't put it down. But I had no idea when I bought the book, the entire story takes place in Prague. And it's like in a 24-hour period of time. And the golem figures prominently in the story because I'm not going to ruin the story for people. But at one point, Robert Langdon, which is the character that Tom Hanks plays in the movies, is he's being chased by the golem, and he flees up this tower, and so there was half a dozen sites in the city. He talked about Vyšehrad, and he talked about Petrine Hill, and half a dozen of these sites in the city that he goes into great detail, describing in the books. And literally 2 days later, I'm in the city and I'm walking around these sites, and so I've got a clip going to the top of this tower, and another clip where he's chased into a building that has a mirror maze. It's a labyrinth of mirrors, and so he's fleeing this creature in the mirror maze. And yeah, this is their little kind of their version of the Eiffel Tower, paying homage to it, I suppose. But it's an amazing site to go up in because the views of the city are phenomenal. Let's see if here I'm doing it, but I want to. Yeah, it's up, 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 up. And then you get to a little platform where you can't really see much because you're still not very high in the tower. You can see a bit, but it's better from up above. Yeah, so once you get up to the top, it's
wow, yeah,
the building we were just looking at.
Is that the highest point in the city then? Looks like it might
No,
be.
there's another tower that's higher, but it's not in the old part of the city. You can see it from far off, and it's one of these modern towers that looks like something, for television and radio and stuff like that. But the view from this one is definitely worth the walk. They have an elevator as well. Here we go. So this is cool. So now before I was looking at the cathedral, and now I'm going to look across the river, so you can see the Charles Bridge. You can see the clock tower, and there we go. I backed it up too far. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, what an epic skyline, right? You got Charles Bridge, you got these spires, you got the clock tower, and I didn't even mention this. This is the I mean the train station, which it goes back quite a ways in the photographs and in the maps. So how long have they had trains, and does it match the narrative? But look at this beauty.
Beautiful.
We'll just a train station. We just we need some good towers for the train station.
Oh man, I had a bit of a synchronicity in myself today. I'll just tell you before I go. You know, I knew I was going to be coming on with you tonight to talk about Prague. So earlier on today, I did a bit of digging, just researching Prague, and then an hour later, I got a message from someone on Patreon from Prague who wants to translate my book into Czech. And I thought that was an incredible synchronicity, because it's not every day someone from Prague emails me. Yeah. So
that's so cool.
That's really cool. Yeah. So Prague is calling.
I had a wonderful synchronicity in Prague. Not just the fact that the whole thing was a synchronicity in the sense that I read Dan Brown's book, and all of a sudden I'm like in, 2 days later in these locations, and I had no idea when I ordered his book that was going to happen. But I went to dinner with a friend while I was there in Prague, and at one point in the dinner, she and I were talking about another person who had an amazing story that had to do with psychedelics and a church that she was involved with, and it's a pretty detailed story. I'm not going to go into it, but I told this woman's story to my friend, and I hadn't spoken to the other woman in 18 months or so. And after dinner, I got back from dinner and I was in my Airbnb, and there were several messages from her that had come in. So like I was telling her story, and then like half an hour later, I'm in my Airbnb, and I've got a string of messages from her. So that was fun. And then the day before I left, I had a synchronicity. I had to go mail something at the post, and I was going to the airport, and on my way to the post, one of my patients flashed into my mind, who's somebody that I hadn't seen in at least a year. And I just got this sense. I was like, I'll bet I'll see her, And I walked like 10 paces, turned the corner, and there's this square where the post office is, and there's a cafe. And there were about 20 tables there at the cafe, all empty except for one. And at that table was the woman that I had just thought of a minute before. She was sitting there. So I had these 3 synchronicities happen back to back, that are all related to just before I left for Prague and at Prague. So, yeah,
Good
that's
stuff,
so
man.
cool though that you had one as well with the translation into Czech. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, man, it's
Sounds
been great talking to you, and I better head off now. But yeah, good luck with the rest of the stream, and hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for joining in, Steve. It was awesome to have
Cheers.
you. And,
all right, I'll speak to you soon.
Ciao.
Bye.
Yeah. How's everybody doing? I haven't had a chance to follow the chat. Lots of comments. Nice to see you all here. And let's see, I'll just back up a little bit. See, I mentioned Prague, the world clock. Yes, that's what I was going to get to next. Thank you for reminding me, Derp. So yeah, they've changed this, and now it's globe. It's a globe thing instead of what it was before. I'll see if I actually had a little clip from a video that I was going to show that was related to the Prague clock. Let's see. So again, that's Steve Young's channel. I imagine I am subscribed. I'm on my backup channel here for the stream. But great research, great stuff. And John Levi, if you're not familiar with him, I showed a clip from this video earlier. This is a fantastic video covering the subject of Tartary, false history, revisionistic history, whitewashing of history, all of that, and just how the physical remaining evidence just completely destroys, those simple explanations of where this stuff supposedly came from. Excuse me. Okay, so
to all those that have written about it and posted articles.
Yeah, let's listen to that fast. So this is just it's like a half an hour video going in great depth into the Prague clock and the mechanism and all the different astronomical happenings that this clock built 600 years ago is tracking to perfection. And you know, it's such an incredible thing in and of itself. But let's just listen to this for a couple minutes.
Online, and to those that have built animated simulations of the clock, so we can all appreciate this wonderful intellectual.
So it didn't used to look like this with this globe. You can see here it's different in this photograph, but it's tracking so many different things, and that's what he goes into in detail.
And engineering marvel that's now over 600 years old. I'll put links in the description to some videos and websites that I've found helpful in learning about the clock and that I'm using here in this video. The Prague astronomical clock dates back to around the year 1410. That's over 600 years ago, and thus has a long and complex history that is far beyond what I will try to describe here. And of course, it's undergone renovations and modifications all along the way. I'll leave most of the history for you to discover through other videos and websites, and I'll focus mostly on just reading the clock with this video. Just reading the clock is a challenge, though. The experience of reading time on this clock is really about looking back in time, as it reveals a medieval perspective and understanding of the world. In other words, there is still a history lesson in just learning how to read this clock. And while we focus on reading the clock, I can't help also think about how much greater still would be an understanding of how it actually works and the design and interaction of all the gears behind the clock's face. The Prague astronomical clock is really a mechanical computer built during the Middle Ages. Its design and creation date to a time before the advent of modern science. In fact, it dates back to even before Copernicus created a model of the solar system with the Earth orbiting around the sun. Instead, the astronomical clock very accurately models the apparent motion of the sun and moon and stars, just as they appear to us here on the ground as we look up into the sky from an Earth-centered perspective, just as people did in the Middle Ages. And what a time we live in now. Here we are looking at a modern digital computer simulation available online to almost anyone anywhere in the world of a medieval mechanical computer that was originally built to model, understand, describe, and predict the motions of the sun and the moon and the stars and the changing of the seasons. That's why this is a math video. Math is the tool we use to model.
So 600 years old, still accurate, and measuring our cosmos from a geocentric perspective, and that he's calling it apparent motion of the celestial bodies. But I think there's probably a good reason that they put that globe on the face.
Understand and predict the entirety of the universe. And the Prague astronomical clock is a beautiful working artifact of early medieval mathematics and a medieval understanding of the universe. And that's why you clicked on this video. It's the value and reward of the effort and the achievements made toward understanding and describing the patterns of the universe. That reward takes some effort, because this is about much more than just the practical needs of telling time. It's about understanding the universe and our place within it. And with the Prague astronomical clock, specifically, this is about an over 600-year enduring effort toward that understanding. So imagine yourself in the Middle Ages, looking up at this clock. What would it tell you? I should say there are obviously two huge dials here on the front of the clock tower, an upper dial and a lower dial. And it's the lower dial that's a calendar. It tells the month and day and indicates a saint associated with each day of the year. The lower calendar dial was added to the clock in 1490, which, by the way, was even before our modern Gregorian calendar was created. And this would make a great topic to explore.
Gotta love that. The clock was updated in 1490. Yeah, so let's see if there's anything else I was gonna share with you guys before I wrap this up. Oh yeah, from the view from the top of this thing. If anyone has any questions or comments or anything, this is a good time to post them, do them in all caps. There we go. Yeah, so definitely worth the climb to get that view and see the sights of Prague from above. And there's the city kind of as a whole. Just such. Oh, this is the tower that I was talking about with Steve. That's, you know, it looks like one of the modern TV towers or something. And Vyšehrad is over here to the right, which is that one with the double-spired church that I was showing. And just, does that clock imply flat Earth? I would say so. And this is from that tower, the Petrin Tower, looking across, and this is the National Museum that I showed in the beginning of the video. And this is the train station. There's that tower again. And I think this is now the Opera House. I'm not sure what it was originally, but what a building that is. It's just phenomenal. Oh, this is what I'm going to show. So this is that mirror maze that Robert Langdon flees the golem and runs into this thing. So you get to see me here as I walk through it. Or actually, I should do it in. Oh, I'm not sure how to speed it up with this video player I'm using. Ah. Nope. Yeah, it was kind of surreal to be in this thing 2 days after reading about it in the book. And it was fun because I had a vision in my mind of what it would look like based on his description, and it was pretty much exactly what I was expecting. And it wasn't very hard to go through, although you wouldn't want to have to navigate it if you were being chased by someone who was trying to kill you. The trick is to look at the floor, just so you know, so you don't break a nose. And then they had this hall of mirrors, which was hilarious. Short. Each one does something different. Looking a little chunky. Legs. I would have jumped higher, but my ankle was not happy. And this one is wild. I'm easily amused. Oh, yeah. The liquid sun. Any thoughts? Someone's asking. The liquid sun. I'm not sure what that would be in reference to. Oh, I see. And Steve isn't here. He probably would know. Yeah. So that was fun. And then I went down, from there I went down this hill. And you can see it says the magical cavern this way. So I had to do that. And that's it right there. And unfortunately, my mic quality on my headphones, I discovered after this trip, is now lousy. So I need a new pair of headphones, but it's hard to find good ones, you know, with cables. Everything's wireless now. so I apologize for the audio quality, but this place was trippy. The guy who is the artist there has been producing art
Ooh.
there for like 70 years.
Dude, it's looking a little dark. So is he. And that one as well. Great. And there's that dude there. Huh. Definitely paying homage to Pan here. Do I dare? I do.
Yeah, this place, there were so many works of art. I'm not going to show the whole, I filmed the whole, going through the whole thing. Some of them are really beautiful and others are really dark. But the guy is definitely a talented painter, there's no doubt about it. Rayon Argondian, what a name. Yeah, he's apparently been in that location for 70 years. All kinds of alchemical symbols and astrology and stuff that looks purely demonic. Like this one is pretty dark. Probably not the kind of art gallery you want to be in when you're really high. So, just looking through the chat here. What is below the city? Steve Hyatt asks. That's a good question. Yeah, I would guess there's probably loads of tunnels. I think all the old world cities have lots of tunnels under them. They're probably all connected by tunnels as well. I've hypothesized that a lot of the tunnel systems might be former root structures of the giant trees. Ultra wide Tokayo. Yeah. Mirror on the wall. Get me the heck out of here. Yeah, Brian, O'Shea Comedy says it appears that all mountains are melted brick buildings, which is insane. Some definitely, but I would stay away from all. Lots and lots of mountains around the world exhibit very, very clear signs that they're former tree. I've shown lots of the evidence for that, a lot of boots on the ground evidence as well, particularly from Colorado and the Black Hills of South Dakota. And it's not melted building, it's very obviously tree. And I've got evidence of that in HD footage. So yeah, some, but whenever people start using the word all, they're probably wrong. Dirt beat me to it. Not all mountains are melted brick. The idea is ridiculous. I'm just catching up here on the chat. Were you aware of these things while you were incarcerated? Was I aware of what things? I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you're talking about things like Tartaria, flat Earth, all that kind of stuff, no, that goes back about 10 years when I started to wake up to false history and a lot of other false narratives. Have you seen how the flower de la made of iron could pull static electricity from the atmosphere? Yeah, Antiquitech, I think there's lots of both diagrams and, so many of the structures still exhibit all the features, and they match the tech involved in doing something exactly like that. So the the painter probably knows more about this place than the tour guide. I'll bet you're right. Also, some mountains may be titans. It's another topic I've covered extensively on the channel. A lot of work gone into that place. Yeah, everything I've shown today is from Prague. Got a couple things here I'll show at the end that are not, but I don't need to go through this whole. There's a whole upstairs too to this gallery. Definitely interesting work. So I've shown these pictures before. This is looking at the beautiful river. It's just, you don't even have to be a good photographer to take good pictures in Prague. It's so beautiful everywhere you look. So the opera house, what a thing. This, oh, I forgot what this was called. It was something interesting. I don't recall what it was now. Oh, that's right. The Institute of Goethe. Not a bad piece of real estate for the Goethe Institute. Something tells me that's not what it was originally. And yeah, so this is heading home, just flying back. Actually, on my way to Brussels in this on this flight for a connecting flight. Just and there were no chemtrails when I was there the first few days, and then the day that it was crystal clear skies on Christmas Day and the day before, and you can't tell me that there were 0 planes flying. And then the day I was going to leave, that's what the sky looked like. But took a couple shots from the airplane window. This is a building. It looks like the Millennium Falcon, I just realized. That's funny. This is coming down in Brussels, and I mean, you just get a taste of the layout of the city and this magnificent structure. It's everywhere, when you have the eyes to see it. This is another one I took from the airplane. It's not a small building. And this gem. And then this is, there's something similar to this in Stockholm, where it's just these glass, these are, greenhouse-like structures, and it's just so ornate. It's all the old world stuff still here with false historical narratives slapped on it. But every once in a while, you got to get out in the world and check this stuff out and see what it's all about. And thankfully, a lot of it still remains. They haven't managed to erase it all yet. So Anyway, catch the last of these comments. Oh, almost 2 hours. That's perfect. That's what I was looking at going for. So, mirrors in satanic ceremonies I've heard about. Yeah, they like mirrors. They're black mirrors for scrying, which we're all using right now. So we're all a little bit hypocritical if we criticize it too much, because that's what these are. Yeah, the video's all from Prague except for those last few pictures. Yeah, the DMT trip in there. You're talking about the art gallery, I'm guessing, right? Yeah, it was definitely not something you arrive at so with sobriety. What was the first thing that opened my eyes? Well, it depends on which topic. When it comes to just being aware that things are not what we have been taught that they are, that goes back to my basically like 20. My dad gave me a couple books that I've talked about many times, Behold a Pale Horse and The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And that kind of set the stage for no longer believing in the things that we're taught about the nature of our world. Oh. So let's see what else. The system fails. Doesn't money sort of become irrelevant? Yeah. Money. Can NASA make gold with helium? They can probably make you talk like a cartoon character, but I'm not sure about gold. All right, folks. Any last? Oh, wait. Oh, there's more. Sorry. Scroll through here. I wasn't in Brussels. I had a flight land there. But I should have stayed an extra day and come seen you and brought you my book, Willie. I don't know. At some point I'll make it there, or I'll get my book to you, I promise. Oh, shameless plug time. Here we go. Here's a link to my book, The Hacker Prince. If you haven't read it, it's getting great reviews. It's not getting a lot of great promotion, though, because I've just been busy with other things. And all right. Did I see evidence that they believed in flat Earth? Well, the clock is a pretty good example of that. And, most of these buildings have got alignments, I don't know. I'm not sure how to answer the question. The evidence is all around. You go looking for it. But it's a divisive term, It measures flat. Water lays flat. Curvature has not been detected, but what shape is it ultimately? Good question. I lean towards toroid. I was pimping that book last you were on Archaics with us, Mike. Would love to see you there again. Yeah, it'd be fun. Yeah. Do something on hang gliding. Yeah, I want to write a book about hang gliding, actually. I've got some incredible stories to tell, and I just started subbing on, I think it was Facebook or Instagram, to a few hang gliding channels just for nostalgia. It's been a long time since I was in the air, but I will do that. All right, everybody. thank you for joining in. Hope you enjoyed it. And it was awesome having Steve as a guest, and such a knowledgeable dude. And check out Prague if you ever get the chance. It's an amazing, amazing city. And glad I went back. The first time I was there, it was just 2 days and didn't get to see nearly enough. But I only scratched the surface of what there was to see in that city, and so much to do as well. I wanted to go. There was one night I was going to go to a see an orchestra play in this concert hall, but my ankle didn't permit. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. Till next time. Have a good one. Ciao.